Heartfelt gratitude to His Excellency Dr. Atiur Rahman for being together with us tonight and also for agreeing to be the keynote speaker of this event.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker tonight, Dr. Atiur Rahman, Governor Bangladesh Bank, will now make his presentation on business and investment opportunities in Bangladesh. Now is the time for Dr. Atiur Rahman.
Thank you, Mr. Huda, my good friend. Although he is representing now Habib Bank AG Zurich, but you all know he has been one of our colleagues in the central bank, and also he's my classmate. So we are very good friends, and he has been always kind to me, and that's why you heard so many kind words about me. Miss Sibyl Sanaus, you have come all the way from Dubai to participate in braving the blockade which is on. I thought the speed of the economy is such that such blockades can always be overpowered, and you have done that. My colleagues from the different financial institutions, many CEOs I'm seeing around, and also high-level executives. Also, I see Mr. Siddiqui, who used to be also your colleague here, and has been also chairman of the board of a bank, and also CEO earlier. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to talk on business and the environment opportunities in Bangladesh. Many of you have already heard me on many of these issues, so this may sound repetitive, but for Sibyl and others, probably there may be some information. I really want to thank you for coming here and taking the message back that despite some obstacles, Bangladesh economy is moving ahead, and it has all the potentials of going ahead, actually. The small obstacles or the barricades can be overcome, and we will overcome. I will be really not talking much on the banking sector, as you have already taken note of it. Our banking sector is doing pretty good here, despite a global financial crisis, and also one or two small irregularities which we have noticed here. But I thought people are learning lessons from their own mistakes and doing pretty well. And we were just, the last couple of months were really very vibrant. Bangladesh economy was doing so well in November and December. All the indicators were really surging. That's the only word I can use, Exports, from a negative turned into positive. Remittance moved up to double digits. So many good news were just flowing in. only today in a newspaper you must have seen, Sybil, the consumer confidence is one of the highest in the region in Bangladesh. MasterCard found out that the consumer confidence increased by 17% in Bangladesh, one of the highest in the regions, and that as a result, the business confidence also increased, simultaneously. But suddenly we are in this mess. Anyway, I hope everything will be okay, and Bangladesh will move ahead. These are the areas I will cover today. I'll be first talking about sustained robust growth despite the global financial crisis. Then I will talk about the stable macroeconomic conditions that we have been maintaining. Then I'll be focusing particularly on the external sector, because Sybil, you will be more interested on that. How we are maintaining the external sector viability, how stable is our external sector. That is also reflected in our strong taka, that how we are maintaining our external sector. And then I will be mentioning about the investment policy regime, how permissive and welcoming that is. And then I'll be talking about the potential sectors of trade and investment opportunities for international banks like you also. How do you come in? Bangladesh, many countries are also growing. China growing. India growing, Indonesia has been growing. But what is the beauty of Bangladesh growth is that Bangladesh growth is very consistent. The viability of Bangladesh, the variability of the Bangladesh growth rate is very low. I think lowest in the region actually. I'll be coming back to that. And our macroeconomic fundamentals are pretty strong. As you can see, if you compare yourselves with the 2011 and now, the inflation has almost been halved. We are edging in the average yearly inflation has come down to 7%, and we hope to reach 6.5% by the end of the fiscal year, which ends in June. But point-to-point inflation has already come down to 6.1. And we might even end up in like 5% in the end of the year, point to point. So that gives a very good indication that the macroeconomic indicator is also very strong. Our fiscal deficit is also very, very low. This year, probably the fiscal deficit will be even lower. As you know, given the prices of the oil, which has been coming down and almost collapsing, that will really help us. That will help us in many ways. Firstly, that will help us reduce our subsidies, which we are giving to the many sectors, so that budget deficit will be even lower. Already we have been maintaining very low budget deficit, always less than 5% over the decade, 4 point something. And this year it could be even less. That's already reflected. The government is not taking money from the central bank. Already, they have started repaying the money. So that only indicates that the fiscal deficit will be much lower than expected. So inflation going down, the budget deficit down, the exchange rate remaining pretty stable. What else you want? In an economy, its fundamentals are so strong. Again, look at the lower oil price is also helping us, in reducing imported inflation, because a lot of inflation gets also imported, and because of the price of the oil going down, so most of the food items and the goods, the consumers items will the ones which will be imported will also cost less here. So the imported inflation will be also lower. So together the inflation scenario is very, very favorable. again, many of the domestic prices will be stabilized because of that. Not only that, on a supply side, we have done very well. Earlier, if you remember, 5 years back, we used to import a lot of rice from different countries. But along with the import of rice, we also used to import inflation. And food inflation is the biggest component of inflation. More than 60% or 65% of the inflation component is only food inflation. So that area we have stabilized already. We are not only not importing rice, we have started exporting rice. So that gives us extra domestic strength, I would say. From the supply side, we have insulated the inflation. We have created a buffer against the shocks, of the price volatility. It's not only it costs us dollar if we import, food from outside, but if the food prices are volatile, so we also import volatility. So that buffer we have created so that the prices are not affected by the external market. That's another good thing that has happened in Bangladesh. Again, in this, if you have seen the citation of the banker which has given me the award, there is a line quoting me that the Western central banks have created money and liquidity in the air, but we in Bangladesh, we have created liquidity and put on the ground. That's the difference. Our real economy, we have always been focused on the real economy. I know many of my banking colleagues, particularly the CEOs, we are not pretty happy with the financial inclusive drives which I have taken initially, forced them to go to agriculture, SME, green banking. Initially they thought they got a crazy governor, but now I hope they realize that this was the major strategy that we took that has helped us face the financial disaster all around the world, because other countries, central banks, they only created money, never invested on the real economy. That was the big problem, and we did the opposite. We have been very cautious about inflation. We never compromised on the inflation. We never compromised on reserve money, broad money. We just kept it as it is needed, but at the same time we put in a lot of money for agriculture, we put in a lot of money for small and medium enterprises, we put a lot of money for export sector, particularly our RMG, pharmaceuticals, and those sectors which earn more money, more dollars for us. So we really have given a lot of emphasis on the inclusive financing, which stabilized us. Our real sector has helped us. With the financial inclusion, we have stabilized not only the deposits but also the loans. We went in both. Our approach was that we will collect deposits from many savers, so that our base becomes robust and very strong. Even we have opened 700,000 bank accounts for our school children. Would you imagine? As much as 6,000 taka deposit has been already done by these students. 600 crore in Bangla. And these are the deposits which are stable deposits, because these children will not take away your deposits overnight. They will keep it for many years, I tell you, till they become really adults, so that they will keep that money, and that's the most stable source of deposits from a financial inclusive move. Similarly, we have made the bankers, the farmers, they can now open account only at 10 taka, which is around 6 to 7 cents, and they too keep money their in their their accounts, and they get all the government subsidies in that accounts, and also they get remittance from abroad. Not only that, we have created a refinance for them, 200 taka or 2000 taka refinance only for them who have opened 10 taka accounts, and this money is being given through a partnership with the microfinance institutes and the banks, and that's how they are also really putting a stable deposits. On the loan side also, we have encouraged small and medium enterprises loans, and most of the banks have really moved in that directions. As much as 30% of the total portfolio now this is going to those kinds of small and medium enterprises loans and the agricultural loans together. Almost a third is going into this kind of new loans. So this is something which is giving us the strength as an economy strength. And this inclusive growth strategy has generated strong internal demand with creation of jobs of millions of people in the diverse sectors. Over the last 15 years alone, as much as 1.5 million jobs have been created in the small and medium enterprise sector alone. Forget about other things, but only in SME sector, 15 lakhs new jobs have been created because of that. So we are creating also jobs. We are also working for poverty reduction, as you said. This jobs is a direct correlation with the unemployment. Employment. So agriculture also we did it similar way. In fact, we also innovated 2.5% of the portfolio of any bank, be it foreign or local, they have to give it to agriculture. And many of the banks don't have their outlets in the rural areas. So we have allowed the partnership of the microfinance organizations with the banks, so that this partnership is working. Even Standard Chartered Bank or the HSBC, they provide 2.5% of their loan portfolio to the farmers. Nowhere in the world I can challenge. A foreign bank has gone to that level, and they go it because they could have established this linkage with the microfinance institutions which are well regulated. I am the chair of the regulatory body of the microfinance institutions. So we have developed that partnership. So what is the strength of Bangladesh banking sector? I would say it's a partnership. It's not only the partnership between Bangladesh Bank and these people, the banks CEOs who are sitting. There is another layer of partnership, the banks and the microfinance institutions. So together we are making a very, very stable relationship in terms of making our economy very stable. Look at Bangladesh growth story. This is almost a secret story. This is a story which is not told so much. Look at the global growth, the yellow one. That is the global growth. And South Asian one or the red one. See the amount of volatility in the red one as well, And look at Bangladesh story, the growth story, the green one is consistently rising, and the volatility is so less. And this year, if we didn't have this political crisis, I was predicting 6.5 plus growth for quite some time, and even UNESCAP supported me, 6.5 plus growth. And I hope, as I said, the political the stalemate will be over, and we will achieve that growth, 6.5 plus growth. Actually, the government, of course, has aspirational goals. As a government, they can always have the aspirational goals. They think their growth rate will be 7 plus. That is their aspirations. But as a conservative central banker, I can tell that it will not be less than 6.5, which is still very good compared to many other countries. Look at this diagram will give you the variability figure. Look at the volatility. We are the least volatile economy in the region. Only 0.57. If you compress it to 10 years, it will be 0.22. This is the standard deviation I'm talking about. Look at India; they have 2.13 volatility. And we are the second best performer in terms of growth in the region. And I hope if we could go near 7% growth this year, we could have been even the best. So that's why I said we should not really shoot at our own feet, and spoil the show. Actually, we are doing so well. Look at this inflation figure. It's all coming down now. Last bit you can see that the 12-month average is coming down. Even month-to-month average is coming down even faster. Inflation, and look at its volatility over the last decade. In terms of volatility of the inflation figure, you can see that is the list. Again, Bangladesh has been maintaining a very stable kind of inflation, which is coming down, consistently coming down. Look at the per capita inflation, and look at its volatility over the last decade. In terms of volatility of the inflation figure, you can see that is the list. Again, Bangladesh has been maintaining a very stable kind of inflation, which is coming down, consistently coming down. In 1991, the fertility rate, total fertility rate for Bangladesh was 4.4. That means a couple used to have 4+ children, in 1991. Look at the gains, by 12, it has come down to 2.2. That means, halved, just halved. And compare it with our nearest neighbor is 2.5, India. And even we are better than Sri Lanka. Normally Sri Lanka does better than us in this area, but we are better than them as a 2.4. Look at the immunization rate, how we are progressing. This used to be 74%, now it is 96%. India 72%. We are very almost we have caught Sri Lanka. Look at the life expectancy rate. 91, we are almost 60 years, almost gained 10 years in around this time. Today, the latest figure says is 70 plus something, 70.2 years. So this is more than 10 years we gained in a decade or so. That's something which is really tremendous. At least 4 years higher than our neighbor. Of course, slightly lower than our Sri Lankan friends. Malnutrition prevalence has been declining. Mortality rate has been, dramatically declined, as you can say, 35% now, which is per 1,000 lives, 35, and where Indians are about 44. So that's how we are improving our. These are some of the outcomes I'm talking. No doubt, Amartya Sen has said it is to huge credit of Bangladesh that despite the adversity of low income, it has been able to do so much so quickly. So that's the message. So much so quickly we have done this. And this is a collective effort. It's not only the government, it's not only the central bank, and it's all of us, even the farmers. We are all working together to come to this outcome. Now, we promoted green banking. As you all know, Bangladesh Bank is known as quite known for its green banking approaches. We have prioritized inclusive, sustainable financing, and on the three broad heads: SME financing, green financing, and agriculture. These are the three legs we are working on in terms of providing this to improve the real sector. And by doing that, we are narrowing the inequality in advancement opportunities. Our job is to provide as much opportunities as we can to the people. We make it a point that everybody gets something. Even these women entrepreneurs, we are never getting money from the banking sector. Now you can ask your colleagues in the banking sector, they are really doing something for them. And if they want to take any refinance from Bangladesh Bank, at least 15% of that must go to the women entrepreneurs. But in reality, it goes even higher. They almost 25% of them really go to the women entrepreneurs. And over the last 5 years alone, at least 12,000 new women entrepreneurs have been created because of that refinance. So that sort of things. We are enhancing income and employment generation is taking place. Our export grew at 41%. Can you imagine? Even with such a high base, next year was 6%. That then year 11.2%. Then 12.39%. Despite all the problems, you see that trend of the remittance, how it is going up and up. It has never been going down, so consistently going up. Look at the integration with the global trade. We are almost now 47% our openness, and this was only 17% in the mid 70s. From 17% we have moved up to 47% of our openness, the export plus import, as a percentage of GDP, and we are very near to say India and much better than Pakistan. So look at the openness figure. Now let's look into our policies. Our policies are, investment policies always welcoming, and you are dealing with the bankers, so you know how welcoming is our foreign investment policy. We are always protected by the Foreign Private Investment Act, and also our bilateral agreements between Bangladesh and other countries. We never we never said that we could not repay any of the foreign loans, or by the bank or by the government. Never ever happened. If there could be problems, but the central bank jumped into and cleared many of the LCs and all that. We really made them. You must have seen that we proactively jump in so that you can always get the payment in time, and we can realize the foreign exchange. So now I have a dashboard, fortunately, on my table. I really know which bank is doing what, at what time they have opened an LC, and what is the time that will retire, whether they have paid back the money. If they don't pay back the money, next day one of my examiner will show up in their bank. So they know, all the bankers know how strong is the digitized supervision going on. That's why we make it a point that this risk doesn't happen. Tax holidays, you all know about it. I don't want to go deep into that. Post-tax profits, dividends can be repatriable easily. Up to 75% of the post-tax salaries of the expatriate employees remittable on monthly basis, and accumulated savings repatriable while leaving employment in Bangladesh. But if there is a contractual obligation, say for example you have given a contractual obligation to a company employee that knows not 75%, you want to give him 85%, and if it is stipulated in the contract, I'll give 85%, 90% or 100% if they want. So they only have to come into the contract, and once the contract is done, BOI gives you the contract, we will allow that to happen. So this is a facility we have created. Sell proceeds on foreign equity repatriable at fair value based on assets, income, earnings, trends, instead of solely at net asset value. This we have created very recently. So whichever you choose, you can choose. It's very, very flexible model we have developed. Again, foreign-owned companies can freely access local banks for working capital. They can also access Taka term loans if they want. And working capital of the local company can be brought from the parent company at 0 rate of interest without my permission. No need to get the central bank permission. You just bring it and let us know through your AD branches. We have made it that simple. And foreign-owned companies can access term loans abroad with Board of Investment approval in the same manner as locally owned. And I sit as the chairman of that BOI committee and talk to your banking community. I don't take more than 2 days if the files come in, and immediately I call a meeting and I pass it on, so there is no problem there as well, Again, we have an export development fund which is about 1.5 billion. It used to be only 200 to 300 million. Now we are giving 1.5 billion. Each company getting about $15 million only at a rate which is LIBOR 6 months LIBOR plus 2.5%, as low as that. So that's why many of our exporters are so competitive. Because of that. So what are the potential new sectors? These are the potential new sectors if the foreign investors want to come in. Textiles, ceramics, leather, infrastructure sector. I thought infrastructure sector will be the most important sector in the coming days. You have huge investment. We need $100 billion for infrastructures, and I think we need to get support like foreign support for that matter as well, and the banks need to also come in for those kind of sectors. We also need pension funds and all those funds, long-term funds, so that we can go into infrastructure fund, and we need to immediately create pension authorities so that we can have everybody in the street getting a pension arrangement, so that we can put in long-term fund for doing that. As of today, banks are really under pressure because they have a mismatch. They can have a savings up to 5 to 8 years, but they need to fund 15 years. So that is a mismatch. That is a mismatch. So that's why I want to avoid that mismatch, and that's why we need to go into this. And these are the areas where we can go ahead but we need to also mobilize our funds. Software is a very, very I would say rising industry in Bangladesh. And we have given so much of facilities in terms of liberalization. You will be surprised to know as many as 250,000 freelancers are now working in Bangladesh. They are getting. There was not even 25,000. When Huda was with me. Our mobile banking, as you all know, is one of the best in the world. Our mobile bank. The other day, Bill Gates was speaking about 10 minutes on our mobile banks in Boston. That ours is a bank-led model, and this is going as much as 350 crore taka going out of Dhaka every day, to the rural areas through this, mobile banking. You'll be happy to know nearly 80% of the rickshaw pullers here in Dhaka use regularly the mobile banking and send money to their wives and mothers and fathers. All our government girls are using the mobile banks to send the money, and these are all bank linked. So banks are also doing business. So this is an innovation. Not many countries have been able to do it, and our other areas of export demand pharmaceutical products are from other countries. Lot of demand we are seeing, and shows our strength. Then all this happening. So why you should invest in Bangladesh? Because we are stable foreign sovereign credit ratings. Moody's and S&P have been giving us these stable ratings for last 4 years. Had there been no political instability like this, I would have been in investment grade. I tell you, we are much ahead of our peer groups. Far above. But only politics holding us up there. We could not go into the investment group. And the World Bank ranked Bangladesh ahead of India, China, and Vietnam in protecting investors' interest. Middle class consumer group in Bangladesh is larger than the total population of Malaysia, Singapore, and the combined population of Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. So huge middle class we have, and their consumer confidence is, as he said, one of the highest here in this country. So countries can come in and invest for them. Bangladesh is the second favorite investment destination in South Asia after India. The World Bank investment report says so. And again, electricity production over the years, last few years has almost doubled. Although we are not very happy with that, but still it has doubled. We need a similar kind of jump in our gas sector. And if we can have that, we could really attract more investment there. So what are the opportunities for people like you? This is something very important. I have kept it at the last. So look at this. You have so much of opportunities, opportunities for you in a dynamically growing economy. You can participate, ample space for international banks to take a role in financing of growing international trade, which you are already doing, raising of longer-term external financing for corporates, which comes through BOI. I sit as the chair, so I can facilitate, helping develop the domestic bond market, which is still not developed yet, and you can help us develop the bond market. And I really want to put my mind in the bond market this year. Actually, I want to do more bond market locally, engaging with the government in fundraising abroad as and when the government says they want to go for sovereign bond. You can always help us, and again enhance the domestic presence from representative office to branch office if you want. This is a blank offer I really want to give you. So these are some of the things. I hope, given all the strengths I have shown, given all the stability I have shown, only one appeal to you: when you are negotiating with my banks, please look at these figures and see the confirmation fees so that they are well done. I'll not speak. The governors don't speak explicitly. I just indicating you, as you all know, and I'm sure you will do that. So let me conclude here. This has been a long dinner speech I should not have given, but I thought this is a very good, our CEOs should also know what is the strength of this economy, why Financial Times should give Bangladesh the best position. There must be some reason. So I wanted to show you that reason, actually. That's why I gave this long speech. And with demographic dividend of large youthful workforce and broad-based inclusive development strategy, Bangladesh has already crossed the lower middle income threshold. Our per capita income is about 1,200, so we have already gone into the, we need to maintain this, and we need to do some more human development and other indexes so that we can maintain that. The country is aiming at reaching the upper middle income country by 230 and become a developed country by 250. The government says they want to go 10 years ahead, 240. So good luck to them. But as a central bank governor, I'm a bit conservative, and I want to keep it at 250. Domestic and foreign investors are welcome to reap the full advantage of all existing and new facilities and bring about a major new upturn in our trade and investment relationships. That's the and there is a small message for you. Bangladesh Bank welcomes deepening engagement of international banks like you in the growing Bangladesh economy and assures necessary support and assistance, whatever you need. Actually, that is our commitment.